question I want to pose to you guys today is, do you trust the banking industry, or do you trust the people that you bank with, that you put your money with, and that you trust your assets with? A lot of people that come through the branch that I work at always tell me how much they don't trust us, and they're customers of our branch. So that's kind of awkward. But the general consensus is that the banking industry is not the most trustworthy place of money or business. And a recent scandal is kind of another example of that. Wells Fargo, if you guys have not followed the news, or if you bank with them or anything like that, if you've heard about it, was recently involved in a scandal where they were alleged of creating over 2 million fake accounts, products, credit cards, and services for people that were banking with them that either did not need it or were not aware of the people, the tellers and the bankers supplying them with those products, which in essence is a form of fraud and very illegal and very against the banking industry regulations and everything that goes with that. And so on SurveyMonkey, about 35% of you guys said that you bank with Wells Fargo, which is kind of what I'd expect. About a third, if you poll a room, usually bank with them, especially ASU. We have affiliated ties with them. They're pretty local, so I would expect that. And then about 50% of you guys also said you're unfavorable banks, that you have an unfavorable opinion and trustworthy opinion of them. And according to the SurveyMonkey, also about 35% of you knew a little bit about the scandal, and 58% of you either knew nothing about it or that it was what it was even. And so I'm going to kind of go into the timeline of the flow of events, because it all kind of has occurred in the last month. I'm going to kind of go through the flow of what happened, and then the consequences that have led to the financial investigations, the legal investigations, and where they stand currently and how they're trying to kind of claw back after what happened. So on September 8th, Wells Fargo was fined $185 million by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which oversees and protects the assets of the banks for the consumers. And in those allegations that they accused them of the details that I told you about, over the 2 million fake accounts and products. Wells Fargo's response to those allegations right away was to fire 5,000 or about 5,300 employees across the company, which is roughly 1% of their workforce. But that was their response to the allegations, is that they were going to fire the 53 accused employees of making these products and doing these actions. And what I kind of should have led with also is explaining that the reason that these employees were trying to inflate their numbers and reach this number of fake accounts, fake products, and such like that, is that the company instituted a sales projected goal for them to meet, where their numbers would be so high that the stock prices and the benefits of banking with Chase would be so great for the CEOs and the people who make money with the company. And so that is the kind of incentive for these employees, not only to either get all these quotas met, but also that they would lose their job or that they could be fired if they didn't meet their sales target goals. So in essence, this put a lot of pressure on those 5,300 employees. Thereby, it was so easy for the CEOs to fire them and use them as the scapegoat for what happened. And so following that, 5 days later, the company ended that sales program that started back in 2011, believe it or not, and that they were trying to meet those goals every year from that, and they kind of increased every single year because of that. And so when they ended their sales program, that begins effective this January 1st, 2017, and they'll be officially done with trying to do that. But in essence, they finally got caught, and that's what them ending this program and trying to continue it on. Now they're stopping in response to the investigations and what they're being accused of. What I have photographed here is the CEO, John Stumpf, who appeared in front of the House of Representatives and Senate. That is Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts. She's a senator. If you guys watch, please go on YouTube and watch the video. If you like seeing like a grown woman make a grown man almost cry, she grilled this guy so hard and made him feel so inferior and guilty about what he did to the millions of people that bank with Wells Fargo, and straight up just told him how it was and how despicable this was. And she continued on to list every fact and every way this guy went wrong and the company went wrong. And basically, it's just great to see that kind of accountability being tried to be implemented. And then next fallout from that was John Stump finally retired not until October 12th, which is about 4 weeks after all this happened. And that was kind of like him being pushed into a corner and finally jumping out. He had to forfeit over $40 million for this year, but still ended up leaving with 135 and his total income. And the company had to pay 185 million to get out of what happened. So that kind of gives you an idea of where he stands. The impact on the company is kind of showing you the decline. This is a decline in the meetings with branch bankers coming in for credit cards and shopping with the company. This is also the news breaking that they had to pay the 135 million. And then I was working at Chase, I can speak to this. We all track how much people use the mobile apps nowadays to bank with us and to do their business. And they dropped to -7% of downloads over the month period versus the rest of us who continue to go north. So that kind of shows you how much backlash they had from that. And then also just getting rid of the credit cards and products that they serve. I also want to leave after explaining this that they, after all this money and time that they had to pay after the fact, that it is still a banking institution that aims to serve its customers and to protect its assets. And that's speaking as a Chase employee. I know what tellers and bankers are accused of and what they go through in terms of that side, but I also have seen how grateful people are. And so that's to remember that not all employees from Wells Fargo were guilty of this, not all of them were part of this. They were just trying to do what they were being told. In essence, that got some of them in trouble, but we all know that in essence this was all wrong and the whole thing had to be held accountable. But to leave you guys with this, I just hope that it explains that not only is the banking industry suspect to suspicion, but it's also in its main core is to help protect your assets and be there for the people of this country to make money, and not everybody would be like this. So, thank you.